Now I got a good influx of people from my Sonic 93 and my Steven Universe Future videos. So if you're one of those people, hi, welcome back. If you're someone that's new and just coming across this video, hi, how are you? Consider subscribing. I'm alone and I have nothing to do, and this is just all I do. I'm just a small little bean who criticizes things for reasons unknown at this point to me. I just like doing it. There might be some darker reason behind it. I have to work out that in therapy. But I like to, with every video I make, encourage conversation. But I also would want to encourage recommendation. If you want to recommend me any type of video, clip, movie, anything that you want me to talk about and criticize, I will do so. Even just art in the background, you can recommend, or just criticize my channel and critique how I do my videos and tell me I could change this, that, and what you may like, what you don't like. Go ahead, tell me about it. But this person right here in my Steven Universe video, I believe, recommended me Hazbin Hotel. And at first I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. You know, I have some time on my hands because of quarantine. I can totally look this over and see about this series. Oh, this isn't a series? It's just a pilot? Oh, okay. So I looked this up. I realized that this is just a pilot for a show that may or may not come out. And my concern was that, oh, maybe I won't have enough to work with, and it is a 31-minute video. So I'm like, oh, okay, so I'll have at least something to criticize. So I will admit I can't go as hard as I usually would for something like this because it's a pilot. It can change at like a whim. It could be a totally different show whenever the show comes out. If the show comes out, which is something I'll talk about a little bit later, but there's just not a lot for me to go off of at this moment. So excuse me if my points aren't as really hard hitting and aggressive. It's kind of hard for me to judge something that's not even totally finished yet. You get what I'm saying? Anyways, with that being said, we should jump into it. Let me give you guys a brief rundown of what Hazbin Hotel is from what I can see. You have the main character, Charlie. She's trying to open the Happy Hotel, which becomes the Hazbin Hotel, and get demons and other lost souls to move on and basically be happy. What moving on means, we have no idea, but she's trying to get them to move on. You have her girlfriend who's supporting her in that cause, Vaggie. You have a character that comes in later called the Radio Demon who also wants to help her in her endeavors. For what reason? They're probably malicious and they're probably not the best, but meh, she's annoying and trustworthy, so she lets him help. You have their first client, mainly just like a homeless person they took in pretty much, Angel Dust, which they're a porn star and they basically need somewhere to sleep. So he's like, of course, I'll totally be your first client. I'm totally not using you guys as like a place to sleep. And a whole other cast of colorful, crazy characters. Now, I left out a lot of that episode because it's 31 minutes long, but if you want to watch it, you can. It's on YouTube. It's free. You can watch it if you want to, but I would recommend you watch the pilot to get the full context. Now, how I'm gonna lay this out is probably just point by point what I found not that great about the pilot itself. So let's start with point number 1, the songs. Because the pilot starts off with a song, we're gonna talk about the songs first. The songs aren't that great. Now, they're not bad. They're not like piss poor, and they're just not like, why would you even make that? It's more, they're not memorable. I have watched this about 2 or 3 times and don't remember not one lyric from any of the songs. And trust me, I am a theater bitch. I love musicals. I love listening to music. I hate Steven Universe, but I listen to the entire soundtrack because I do actually like some of the songs on there. I love songs. I love stuff with singing in it. But these songs aren't memorable. They don't give me any emotion or any feeling when I listen to them. So I literally have no idea. I have no idea of any lyrics in any of the songs. And I barely remember what the songs are about, except for the middle one. And that's because it was kind of self-explanatory. Now, my second complaint is with the coloring. What the fuck? See, I can't even roast the animation because the animation is decent, but comboed with this color palette that bleeds together, and literally some characters, these 2 characters have the same freaking color palette, like, and they're next to each other for a good part of the show, and the background and the things surrounding them, like, it just all bleeds together, like it just mashes together in this mush of color and animation where you just can't understand what's going on, and it just like, it just confuses you to look at it. Now I have to go on to my third complaint because it's in conjuncture with the one I just talked about, like the excessive use of detail. Now, here's the thing. The reason when you see something in the background and it's not focused is because you're not focusing on it. I don't understand why that's not something that she doesn't understand. When you have a bunch of background and detail and something in the fucking background, it's kind of, it just fucks up with your whole head, because it's like, oh, what am I supposed to be focusing on? Am I supposed to be focusing on the snake guy that's talking? Or am I supposed to be focusing on the background? Because the background is beautiful. Every time I'll freeze frame in the pilot and see all these beautiful things in the background, all these detailed pieces. And I'm like, am I supposed to be looking at these, or am I supposed to be looking at the characters? Because I honestly rather a lot of points look at the background than the character. And then I miss the movement, the pretty animation, the smooth animation that I wish I could compliment, because I'm too busy looking at the background and figure out what I'm supposed to be focusing on. It's just a mess. Like, all these things combined just make it hard to even really look at like that, you know? This pilot is really hard to like visually, because there are all these great components that make shows and things beautiful that are just smashed into one thing that just clash with each other, that make it absolutely gross to look at. Again, things like this are very hard to criticize because it's a pilot and it can change. But there's something like the extermination that they don't really explain. And from what I can see, I don't know if they'll ever explain it, because it's been some months and a new Hazbin hotel has not come out. Episode 2 has not come out, if there is going to be episode 2 or a finished episode 1 or whatever. So when I see stuff like the extermination, what the fuck does that mean? They vaguely described it as like almost like a purge of all of the spirits, or like a Thanos snap of half the spirits, so it's not as overpopulated in hell, which I guess that makes sense, but like, what exactly happens, or what's going, like, explain it. But you know, you can't really explain it because it's a pilot. It's supposed to be like a work in progress, so it's hard for me to critique things like this. But I am thoroughly curious to like, how does that work? What happens? Is it that important? It's hell, so does it mean something? Or if a spirit dies, does it die forever? Or does that mean, like, what's happening? Like, I just want to know. Also, I'm confused on why they're even doing certain jobs, like the newscasters and the bartenders. Who's regulating these jobs? Are they just regulating the jobs? Is it just like, even, was it Rosie and somebody's emporium in the beginning of the show? Like, is that important for something? Or like, what's happening because that person was killed? So like, what? There's just questions of like, what does this mean? How does this work? How does the economy work? But it's hard to critique because like, it could mean anything. It could change in a minute, like, oh well, this doesn't mean anything, or this means something, or I'm gonna change the meaning, but I don't know what excuse they could really come up with to make it like normal that people are just earning money for whatever reason in hell. These are bad people. Half the people are being killed. There are firefights in the streets. Like, I don't see why you would need a job here. Also, I don't know how I feel about Vaggie. At first I was like, oh, she seemed like a normal character and kind of the sensible one of all of them, but also she kind of lets Charlie just set herself up to fail. Like, she knew going into that whole interview that she's probably gonna sing and she's probably gonna make a fool out of herself, and there's no way this is really gonna work. Like, maybe you should just give up on your dreams. Like, I know she's trying to be a supportive girlfriend or partner or friend or whatever she is to her, but like, you knew she was walking in there to fail. You knew that. You knew she was gonna sing and fuck that whole shit up, and you still let her walk into that trap. Like, I don't know. Like, she's not a bad person, but like, I saw that and I was like, don't let her do that. Don't let her make dumbass mistakes like that. Like, she's already naive and stupid. Now, thinking about it, looking at all these questions I do have that I necessarily can't answer, is kind of why I didn't want to also tag in a review for the spin-off series, because I would have the same questions. Where's the world building? There really wasn't much world building here, except for they're in hell and they kill each other and violence and cursing and pissing is normalized. That's another thing that was like a personal pet peeve. This really isn't something that like I would say is terrible and they should never do it, but it's a personal pet peeve. I don't like the overusing of cursing, and they do curse a lot to where it's like, it kind of starts getting uncomfortable to an extent. You know what I mean? They don't curse all the time, but it's to the point where like, you can tell that if this show goes forward, it's gonna be a fuck, piss, shit, bitch, whore, slut, tramp type thing where it's like there's no holding back. And I don't care about like the racist jokes or things like that, because obviously that's their personalities. They're trying to make it a bit more understanding of like, oh, this is how they don't care. And with the cursing, I can understand that too, but it's just like a little pet peeve of mine personally. I mean, this is becoming more of like me asking more questions that aren't answered. Examples like the whole Mexican joke thing that they made. What does that mean for Vaggie? Does that mean she's not like a demon? She's like a fallen soul or a lost soul, or she died? Or and if she did die, then like, are demons and people that are like just dead, are they different? Are they similar? Does everybody have a race at that point? Why do the races matter? How did he know that she was Mexican? There are questions that just aren't answered. But honestly, that's kind of the end of this video, because there's not really much for me to go off of, and I think that's kind of what's almost bugging me more than the entire show itself, or the pilot rather. It's just that there's nothing to go off of. There's merch for this. There's been fan art. I've seen these characters actually more than I thought I had. And where's the second episode, bitch? Like, I've seen a spin-off and more content. Where's the second episode? Is there gonna be an official first episode or what? Like, you gotta let people know, and not in these. I saw there's an interview or a Q&A that was like hours long. No, I'm not watching that. If you play into a Q&A or something like that at a con, no, there should have been in a concise video or in a statement or in something that I could easily obtain. I looked because I did not want to look at that hour-long thing. I think it had a part 2 too. I'm not doing that. So you need to put in a concise video. Are we going to move forward with this? Are we not? Is it just iffy? I need something like that that's easily obtained, because I'm more irritated that there's no, it's been like, what, 4 or 5 months and there's no update of any type that isn't like a long ass video. So in conclusion to all of what I just said, pilot was meh. Wasn't that memorable. It did leave me with a lot of questions like, oh, what could this be? What could that be? But honestly, because of how long it took to even put anything out, I just don't care anymore. And I feel like I would have cared if it was like I saw it the first time, but after, I would say, a month or two of like not hearing anything or not really getting any clear answers, I would have just like lost interest, which I feel like most people have done from what I can see anyways. I'm sure they still have a fan base, but I'm not here for it. It was mediocre at best. I think there's more improvements that she needs to make before this becomes this great show. It's a great concept. Oh my god, I love the concept, but the execution is where it's lacking at this point. So yeah, if you guys have any other videos or movies or anything to recommend to me to criticize or just look into, or you want to know my thoughts or opinions about it, leave in the comments below. I'll see you guys later. Bye.